first I want to talk about, so I have basically, I've got about 7 things that I'll share with you. Some of the stuff that I've gone through and I think has been relevant in my life. The first is embrace, I'm going to talk of some of these points. So the first is embrace fear. You know, when I started off, public speaking was very, very distant to what I'm doing right now. I never wanted to be a public speaker. I never wanted to be into a space where I had to interact with the public. The fact is that I wanted to be a backroom boy. So when I started looking at the careers that I wanted to do, I remember this in college. The first career I chose that I wanted to take for myself was I wanted to become a chartered accountant. I said that's the best thing to do because you're at the back room, you write books, you don't have to come into face, and you're done with it. So I tried my hand after my, when I got into BCom, I said, okay, CA is what I want to do. I started down that path. It didn't work for me because I found it too boring and possibly it was too difficult for me. I said, okay, let me try my hand at ICW. I didn't want to become a public speaker, get into a space where I could talk. I was shit scared. That was not my space. I tried my hand at ICW, it didn't work. So I was left with the last year of my college and I said, look, if I have to do something with my life, what do I do? Very little choices in '93, and that's when I decided to do my MBA. Got through, got onto campus, still with the same feeling is how am I going to manage in the real life? And this is true. You know, when we were growing up, we did our basic schooling and education in Africa. So my English was reasonably okay. We used to come back from Africa every 3 years. I got my home in Chandigarh, this is where I live. And as it happens with, parents that look, these are my kids, they can speak English. So all my cousins would come, right, from Punjab and Chandigarh, and we would sit around and we would be ushered in as like the trophy kids, right, because they can speak English. And so it would be like, Ashu, come and, talk about something, talk to your friends here, tell them what you do. And, the English, 93, your cousins from Punjab, you look pretty suave and he said, you have the swagger. But believe you me, that was the scariest part of my life. And I'm trying not to do it with my kids now. And I remember my sister shielding me from it, saying, okay, come back and say, oh, he's not around, he's there, he's not feeling good. So I used to be scared of public speaking. And I'll give you another example. In '93, and when I got to know I got to speak here, and I joined Punjab University, there was a talk in this very auditorium. I had to speak, I was asked to do that. I came in here from one of the doors, walked up here, and I went blank. This very auditorium, I went blank. I didn't know what I had to say because I thought I'd remember it. I came, spoke, I just went blank. And I stood here for a couple of minutes and I walked out. Ashamed, saying, shucks, man, I just didn't get it right. So when I got to know it's happening at the same auditorium, believe you me, I was still a little scared. I was worried that, the same thing shouldn't come back. I hope it doesn't. We've got a few more minutes to talk. So embrace your fears, because that was one basic thing that I fought and trying to fight back, saying I can't do this. And when I went on and did my first job with Wimco out of campus, I remember my boss noticing this in me and saying that, look, this is an area you need to work on. He never told me that. But every time we had a sales conference, every time we had mock calls, he would put me right up. I would be not very comfortable about it. I had to do a job, I had to get my monies in. Everybody else was working, all my colleagues, all my friends. So I went through that process of, learning on the go. And then as time came and it just switched, right? And I started to enjoy the process. And I realized, oh my God, what have I missed? So one of the points, the only point I just want to make is just embrace your fear. We all have fears, right? Just take them on, be friendly with it, you'll find a way out. It's not so difficult. At the end of it, while I still feel nervous, but it's not so difficult. You can do it. So that's one big takeaway for me. The second thing I wanted to talk about is, it's a cliched thing. Nothing is impossible and stuff like that. It's tough, it's difficult, but believe you me, in the 25 years that I've been working, it's really true. Hindi was never my forte. I came back from Africa, I scraped through my board exams. My niece is somewhere around, I hope she doesn't hear this. I just got about 65% with the help of teachers and stuff like that, nothing to do with the leaked paper, but I just scraped through, and that was done. Hindi was over, and I had to get on with my life. In 2009, I came back to Chandigarh to head Dainik Bhaskar for the north. And for those of you who don't know, Dainik Bhaskar is India's largest Hindi newspaper. I got that offer in 2009. I contemplated, I said it's a business head role, I can manage, unmanage with the paper, there'll be friends to tell me. And I got in, and I remember I came here in Chandigarh and I called up my teacher, my Hindi teacher. This is Batta. She's, I think, just retired from school now. She heard me out. I said, I've just got this offer. After she heard me, there was a dead silence and a thud. She possibly fell off or something. So she said, Dainik Bhaskar, you're going to join Dainik Bhaskar as the business head? Another company. But I went into that job knowing very well that was not my forte. I couldn't read many lines in Hindi. I took on the task. I said, no, I'm going to get over this. I can't, there's nothing that will be so tough than this. And I just dived deep in it, saying that, look, if anybody else can do it, I can do it. Took me a couple of months, and I can tell you now, if I was to do this speech in Hindi, I can beat many of you hands down. Because I really took it on as an honest thing to do. And I realized it's not so difficult. It's just not so difficult. If you think you can do it, anybody else does it, you will be able to do it. Another example I give you, I worked with Sudiksha for 5 years. I literally opened that and shut it down, right? And I was responsible to set up the entire fruit and vegetable chain for them out of Delhi. I have never been to a mandi to buy. I have never been to mandi to source. Forget that. I don't know beyond the basic vegetables what goes in them. I was given this task because that's what I was hired for, and they felt I could do it. I spent 3 months at the Azadpur Mandi figuring out the whole supply chain of fruit and vegetables. 3 months, right? Starting at 10, 11 in the night, going through the day, through the midnight, when the vehicles come, how does it get unloaded, what is the economics of that, where does it get grown, how do farmers work, the 9 levels of chain, the farmer sells it for ₹1 while you buy it at 25, all kinds of stuff, finally to get it going into the shop that I was working for. But when I took this on, and I have to tell you this, is that I had no idea how I'm going to do it. I felt somewhere that it's just not going to work because I don't understand this piece. And I worked very hard with my boss to give me the grocery chain instead of giving me the fruit and vegetables. I tried everything in the book, but he said, no, you've got to drive this. And I went into doing it. So the point that I want to make, the second point I want to really make is that it's really true. If you really get to doing something, there's nothing that is really difficult. You can really get to, and in corporate life, if you put your mind to it, you're going to succeed. You'll fail several times, but you'll make it. The third thing I think which is critical, and for people out here, is that find the right mentors. People who will guide you and be your kind of bouncing boards when you have problems and you need advice. Find the right mentors. I don't know how I've done it. I didn't really go out seeking mentors. Some of them just came into my life. But there are 4 or 5 people who made a difference into the way I've kind of evolved as a person. Whether it has been people in my corporate life. And I'll tell you something interesting. Some of the mentors or some of the people that you would want to go back to and think and take back from are people in your backyard. Are people who you live with, possibly your parents, your grandparents, your friends, your uncles. Believe me, I'm telling you, it's not about somebody that you watch on the screen or there's somebody out there who you really want to admire or kind of take on. It's somebody right in your home who can really change the way you. So when I got married, and it took me about 7 years to actually get into the life of my father-in-law. Right? My wife is a Punjabi; she's from a Sikh family. He's a migrant from Pakistan, the son of a vegetable vendor who went on to become the Jawaharlal Nehru University's Dean for International Studies. He started his life as a vegetable vendor's son in Pakistan to come here. I'm sure there'll be many stories like this. There's nothing unique per se. But what was unique to me was I didn't know that story A. When I started speaking with him and getting into what he did, because a professor of English, when you're coming from a really Punjabi background in those times, all the hardships you went through, building your own scholarships, what did you go through, what are the kind of experiences you felt? I realized that there's so much out there that you just miss out on. You can think of resilience, you can think of perseverance, how do I stay committed to my goal? There were many times he said I wanted to give it up. I was up against so much of pressure from from peers. I didn't have the money to make it, but things just happened, doors opened, because I stayed committed to my path. It's a small example, but it took me 7 years to know it. He was right in my backyard. We lived kind of close. I never looked at his story. I thought all my stories were outside. So that was an interesting story to go by, and it kind of just played up with me saying, if there are stories like this, why don't I go and, listen to it? Similarly to my mentors, my first boss, when I had a gentleman called Prem Kumar in Pepsi. He was a maniac, okay? He would drive you nuts, call you up at 8 in the morning, take you on a route visit, made me sit in a car on a Sunday, and I used to do, I don't know how many of you know Ruffles and Lay's and Uncle Chips. I was in the snack food division then. He would make me sit in the car, and then he would make me say, count the baskets. How many baskets of Uncle Chips, how many baskets of Frito-Lay? We were Frito-Lay, our shares were down, and he would point them out to me, saying that, look where we're going wrong. And what I learned from that experience was, and that's my next point, focus on the little things. The larger pieces will fall in place. Just focus on the little things, everything else in terms of the larger space will have. So we would look at big Excel sheets, shares, how do we want to grow markets, and all you would do is take me to the market, point out the reds and the greens, and tell me this is how customers view your product. And if you don't get this right, you're not going to get the next part of it right. So basic stuff like that. So I had a mentor, a maniac like that. He's now in Singapore. I had several like that. I had a gentleman called Richard Lister, who was an American who was with me in Nestle, a complete maniac on negotiation. He said one of the things you should always do when you go out to negotiate, never take your face, never take your ego. Keep that out. Because he would drive negotiation to the last 5 paisa. I would be embarrassed. But I would, they would be negotiating 30 paisa, loading, unloading, and he would say 18 paisa, and then I would tell him, what do we say next? And he'll say, tell him 90. After 45 minutes of negotiation, he'll say, tell him 90. And that's how we would go. If I didn't have him with me, I would have said 27 straight or 25 and done with it. So he taught me the value of that, the money and the pesos that come with me, and that helped me instead, in good stead. My Subiksha experience was similar like that. And I want to talk about Oscar, where I reported to Mr. Suri Agarwal as well. He kind of runs that company. He's a promoter there. He would constantly question status, his current status. He would say, this is not working. Keep pushing the envelope, whether it was on content, whether it was on your revenues, whether it was in terms of how you laid out the paper, the constant, push that he would do. Nothing was okay, fine, great. It's good for today, go back and push it a little. And that's the kind of thing he would, teach you about. And being extremely humble. Humility is where, something that one should learn from. So some of the mentors that you kind of experience in life, or kind of go and approach to, or try to reach out to, use them, because they will play a big role in the way they shape you. Because you're not going to be born that way, right? So you need a lot of people to support you and help you as you go down your journey. The other fourth point, so I spoke about the small things, which I thought was really critical. The fourth is chase the passion. Right? You're going to be, in your 25 years that you've been, I've been here 25 years, right, working. I can't believe I work, I really tell you this, right, quarter of a century working. I mean, there's lots more that you can do. There are 6 billion people out there. This galaxy, this universe, there are 6 billion people out there, right? You're just one of them. Just one of them, right? You got a 70, 80 year of lifespan, if God is kind. What do you do in that? You go get up in the morning, work, come back, watch TV, relax, go back in the morning. Pick a passion, do something just beyond that. You'll realize it, I think it comes to you. I remember my dad telling me this, but it never came on to me till I crossed 40. I won't tell you my age now, but the moment I crossed 40, I realized that there is a second innings, this is your final innings, do something purposeful. Good, you need to earn money, you need to run your home, you need to keep money for your passions and stuff you want to do, but do something purposeful. So pick a cause, it could be anything, pick a passion you want to drive. I follow theatre, and I must tell you this, that I've done a couple of plays, commercial plays. I did this because I said, this is something I'm not used to. I'm not somebody in the public space. I'm not a public speaker. Hindi is not my forte, but I'm going to go after theatre and I'm going to do it because I love doing it. I would have wanted to do it a lot more in my school and college, but as I said, I was scared, right? I was scared of the stage. Stage was not natural to me. So that's the other thing. Pick a passion, chase your dream. You will realize it. I mean, I know it doesn't sound so good to the young guys now, but Please do that. The last point I want to make is give back. Give back to the society. We are damn lucky. We are damn lucky, in many ways. Of course, first to be born, right? I mean, if your parents made love a couple of minutes later, it wouldn't have been us. So we are damn lucky. It's pure luck, pure charm. And then what happened next, right? We are lucky to be here. Look, when you go out, there's enough and more that's happening. I really believe that, we possibly lucky to be in that 5% or 4% or 3%. So give back. Figure out a way you want to do it. It doesn't have to be large. It doesn't have to be talked about. It doesn't have to be something that, it has to be making a big impact. It could be anything. Your servant at home, could be somebody in the neighborhood, could be a cause you want to drive, could be a donation you want to give for something. Do it. Give it back. Give back to the society. That's I think super critical that one should do right. So these are some of my learnings in life. To summarize, in terms of embracing your fear, don't worry, you will manage. Nothing is impossible. Chase the little things, the bigger things will take care of themselves. Kids of this generation, I'm telling you, I have a lot of trainees who come and work for me. They don't like doing that. But believe you me, if you fix the small things, the bigger things will work. Try it at home, try it for any event, try it for this event. Get after the small things and you realize everything else falls into place. Right? Chase the passion, give back to the society. I think that's really been my mantra of these years. And thank you for listening. And